A few weeks ago, I was standing in my kitchen, about to pour something down the sink that most gardeners throw away every single day, without realizing it might be one of the most powerful things you can add to your soil, and the strange part is, it costs absolutely nothing, yet it can help plants grow faster, stronger, and produce dramatically bigger harvests. Most people assume bigger harvests require expensive fertilizer bags from stores like Home Depot or Lowe's. But that belief is actually completely wrong, and here is the part many nurseries never mention. Millions of households pour this nutrient-rich liquid down the drain every day, without realizing they are throwing away free plant nutrients. In this video, I will show you exactly what it is, why March is the perfect time to use it, and how this simple habit can triple your harvest this season. Right now, millions of American home gardeners are trying harder than ever to grow their own food, yet many of them are still getting small, disappointing harvests. And the frustrating part is they are doing exactly what they were told to do. They walk into stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart, and buy expensive fertilizer bags hoping those products will finally fix their soil. Some of those fertilizers cost $15, $20, even $30 per bag. And many gardens require multiple applications during a single growing season, which can easily push fertilizer costs past $80 or $100 per year. But even after spending that money, many gardeners still struggle with slow-growing plants, weak stems, and small harvests. While at the exact same time, something incredibly valuable is being poured down kitchen sinks across the country every single day. According to recent USDA food price reports, the cost of fresh vegetables in the United States has increased by more than 20% in the past few years, which means the average household now spends close to $900 every year just on produce. So naturally, more people are turning to backyard gardening, hoping to save money. But this is where a hidden problem appears. Soil fertility is not just about adding fertilizer. Plants actually depend on a living underground ecosystem, filled with billions of microscopic organisms, bacteria, fungi, and beneficial microbes that help convert nutrients into forms roots can absorb. Scientists estimate that a single teaspoon of healthy garden soil can contain more than 1 billion microorganisms, working together to release nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus for plant growth. When that living system is weak, plants struggle even if fertilizer is added. But experienced gardeners quietly understand something different. They focus on feeding the soil life itself. And surprisingly, one of the simplest ways to do that comes from a type of everyday kitchen waste that most households throw away without ever realizing how powerful it can be, especially during the early spring window, when soil biology begins waking up again in March. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what this everyday kitchen waste is, and why experienced gardeners quietly use it to strengthen their soil. Especially during the early spring planting window, if you garden anywhere in USDA hardiness zones 5 through 9, March is one of the most important moments of the entire growing season because this is when plants begin forming the root systems that will support them for the rest of the year. In this video, you will learn 3 simple ways to safely use this kitchen waste in your garden, why this natural method can sometimes outperform fertilizers that cost $20 to $30 per bag, and how improving soil biology at the beginning of the season can increase harvests by 30, 50, or even 100% in some gardens. But there is one surprising detail about how this nutrient-rich liquid interacts with soil microbes that most gardeners never hear about, and once you understand that small detail, you will start looking at something in your kitchen very differently every single time you cook. Almost every kitchen in America produces a liquid that gardeners unknowingly waste every single day, and that liquid is the water left behind after boiling vegetables, potatoes, pasta, or rice. Most people cook dinner, drain the pot, and send that cloudy, nutrient-rich water straight down the sink, without realizing that the water now contains dissolved minerals, starch, and micronutrients that plants and soil microbes can use. When vegetables boil, small amounts of potassium, magnesium, calcium, and other trace minerals move from the food into the water. And that nutrient-rich liquid can become a gentle natural fertilizer once it reaches the soil. Potato cooking water, for example, can contain measurable potassium, which helps plants develop strong stems and improves disease resistance, while pasta water contains starch. That becomes food for beneficial microbes living in the soil. And here is the surprising part. Many gardeners spend $20 or more on fertilizer bags from stores like Lowe's or Home Depot, while unknowingly throwing away something that can quietly feed their soil for free. Timing matters in gardening more than most beginners realize, and early spring is one of the most powerful moments to support soil life. When soil temperatures begin climbing above 45 degrees Fahrenheit, microscopic organisms in the soil slowly wake up from winter dormancy. Bacteria, fungi, and beneficial microbes begin feeding, multiplying, and breaking down organic nutrients into forms that plant roots can absorb. Agricultural extension research shows that microbial activity increases rapidly once soil temperatures reach around 50 degrees, which means nutrients added during this window become available just as young plants begin forming new roots. This is why experienced gardeners often enrich soil early in the season, rather than waiting until plants show signs of stress. Feeding the soil in March gives roots access to nutrients during the most important growth stage of the entire season. At first glance, boiled vegetable water looks like ordinary cloudy liquid, but chemically it is very different. When vegetables, potatoes, or grains cook, the heat breaks down cell walls, allowing minerals and starches to dissolve into the water. Depending on what you cooked, that water may contain potassium, magnesium, small amounts of phosphorus, and simple carbohydrates. These nutrients are not concentrated like commercial fertilizer, but they work differently. They support soil microbes, which then release nutrients slowly into the root zone of plants. Scientists studying soil ecosystems often describe this process as biological nutrient cycling, where microbes convert organic compounds into plant-available minerals over time. And the interesting part is, repeated small applications can build soil fertility gradually, instead of flooding plants with a single heavy fertilizer dose. Before pouring this water into your garden, there are two simple rules that protect both soil and plants. First, the liquid must cool completely before touching soil. Hot water can damage delicate roots and kill beneficial microbes. Second, avoid using water that contains heavy salt, butter, oils, or sauces, because excess sodium and fats can harm soil structure. Plain vegetable water, potato water, or unsalted pasta water works best. Once cooled, the liquid can be poured directly onto garden beds, raised beds, or container gardens. About 1 to 2 quarts for every square yard of soil is enough to lightly feed the microbial life, without oversaturating the ground. Many gardeners repeat this process once every week or two during early spring. Especially when plants are young and forming new roots, the real magic of this method happens beneath the surface. Where billions of microscopic organisms live, healthy soil is not just dirt, it is a living ecosystem, filled with bacteria, fungi, nematodes, and other microorganisms. Scientists estimate that a single teaspoon of fertile garden soil can contain more than 1 billion microbial cells working together. when starch-rich cooking water enters the soil. Those microbes quickly begin feeding on the carbohydrates and minerals, which causes microbial populations to expand. And as those microbes grow, they release plant nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Through natural biological processes, in simple terms, the microbes become tiny nutrient factories that supply plants with a steady flow of minerals. Exactly when roots need them. Fertilizer prices have increased significantly across the United States over the past few years. Many popular garden fertilizers now cost between $15 and $30 per bag, depending on brand and nutrient content. A small backyard garden may require several applications each season, which can easily add up to $50 or even $100 in fertilizer expenses. But when nutrient-rich cooking water is recycled back into the soil, those nutrients are reused instead of wasted. This turns something that normally goes down the drain into a completely free soil amendment. Over time, this simple habit can reduce how often gardeners need to buy additional fertilizers, which is one reason experienced growers love it, because it quietly saves money while improving soil health. One of the first changes gardeners often notice after improving soil biology is stronger root growth. Plant roots naturally grow toward zones where microbial activity is highest, because those areas contain more available nutrients. Healthier root systems allow plants to absorb water and minerals more efficiently, which leads to faster leaf growth, stronger stems, and improved tolerance to drought, heat, and pests when this process begins early in the season, especially during March planting. The effect can influence the entire life cycle of the plant because crops that establish strong roots early often outperform weaker plants for the rest of the growing season, while almost all plants benefit from improved soil life. Certain vegetables respond especially quickly. Leafy greens such as spinach, lettuce, and kale often show visible growth improvements within a few weeks. Because they depend heavily on nitrogen-rich soil, root crops like carrots, radishes, and beets benefit from better soil structure. While heavy feeding plants such as tomatoes, squash peppers, and cucumbers often produce larger harvests when their root systems develop in biologically active soil, even fast-growing crops like green beans, peas, and zucchini can produce noticeably heavier yields when the soil ecosystem is thriving. Because nutrients are released steadily throughout the growing season, the real power of this technique appears when it becomes a habit, rather than a one-time trick. Pouring cooled cooking water onto garden beds every week or two throughout spring gradually feeds microbial life, improves soil structure, and increases nutrient availability. Season after season, these small improvements compound until the soil becomes darker, richer, and easier to grow in. Many experienced gardeners say their best gardens appeared after several years of consistently feeding the soil, instead of relying only on store-bought fertilizers. And when you step back and look at the system, it becomes surprisingly simple. Instead of throwing valuable nutrients down the drain, you recycle them back into the soil, helping microbes thrive, roots grow stronger, and plants produce more food. Which is why many gardeners believe this tiny kitchen habit can quietly triple harvests when used consistently starting in March. A few years ago, my garden looked nothing like the productive space it is today, and honestly, I was doing what most beginners do. I believed bigger harvests only came from buying more fertilizer from garden stores. During the first year, I spent about $90 on fertilizer, soil boosters, and plant food from places like Home Depot and Lowe's, and by the end of that season, my small backyard garden produced roughly 80 pounds of vegetables, which felt disappointing considering the effort and money I had invested. The following year, I started paying closer attention to soil health and simple natural inputs. including saving the nutrient-rich cooking water from my kitchen and pouring it onto my garden beds during early spring. Especially in March when soil microbes begin waking up, that single change started improving the soil structure and plant growth much faster than I expected. That year, the same garden space produced about 150 pounds of vegetables, including tomatoes, beans, zucchini, spinach, and peppers. Almost double the harvest from the previous year, but the real transformation happened last year after repeating the same habit and combining it with compost and better spacing. The garden produced more than 270 pounds of vegetables from the exact same space. The total investment for seeds, compost, and water was about $160. While the value of the harvested vegetables based on average United States grocery prices was well over $1,000 of fresh food. Now, of course, results can vary depending on climate, soil quality, and gardening experience, but when you look at the numbers, this stops looking like a small gardening trick and starts looking like a powerful strategy for growing more food while spending far less money on fertilizer and groceries. If you want to start using this simple method in your own garden, here is exactly what I recommend you do this week. Step 1. The next time you boil vegetables, potatoes, rice, or pasta, do not pour the cooking water down the sink. Instead, allow it to cool completely so it becomes safe for soil and plant roots. Step 2. Once the water reaches room temperature, slowly pour it over your garden beds, raised beds, or containers, especially around young plants that are establishing roots during early spring. Step 3. Repeat this habit every week or two throughout March, so the nutrients and starch in the water continue feeding soil microbes and improving soil fertility. Step 4. Watch how your plants respond, because stronger leaves, faster growth, and healthier soil are signs the system is working. And if you want more simple gardening strategies that help you grow more food while spending less money, make sure you subscribe, because next week I will show you 5 vegetables that can keep producing harvests again and again, almost like a perpetual food supply. And before you leave, tell me in the comments what vegetable you are most excited to grow this spring. And as always, happy growing.